congrats on the APBP Young Professional of the Year Award.
Thanks so much.
What an honor, and I can think of none other than you as the most fitting person.
Oh, I really appreciate that.
I had the pleasure of working with you on the Ontario Provincial Design Guidelines for Cycling, and I've attended some of your Bike Mind storytelling events and got to work with you as well at APBP Ontario Chapter. Just so impressed with all you're doing for the profession and for cycling in general. And really, congratulations on a job well done. Keep it up.
Thanks so much, Sean. And thanks a lot for willing to be my nominee. Or my nominator, I should say. It's been really nice working with you. I always appreciate the positive attitude that you bring to your work, and you really are a path forger. And I learned that from your Bike Mind story and all the hard work that you did at the province of Ontario government to implement their bikeway program. So I look forward to continuing to work together. And thanks to the APBP for making these awards happen too.
Yeah, likewise. Here's the award.
Thank you.
All right. Cycling.
I want to say thank you to everyone who nominated me for this award and to the awards jury for selecting me. It's a really great honor to be chosen as the Nonprofit Professional of the Year, especially when there's so many nonprofit leaders doing great things in this area. Thanks again.
Hello, and thank you to the Association of Pedestrian and Bicycle Professionals for selecting me for this year's Public Sector Employee of the Year Award. It's truly an honor to be one of the few Canadians to win this award. Today, I'm speaking to you on the traditional territory of the Anishinaabe Mississauga, adjacent to the Mississaugas of Scugog Island First Nation, and on the territory covered by the Williams Treaty. So I got into transportation because I grew up in neighborhoods that had decent walking facilities, but that had poor access to transit, that didn't have bike facilities, and that didn't have bike programs. And I also went to a school that didn't have bike racks. So I knew what it was like growing up in neighborhoods where I had very few options for getting around that were affordable or that didn't rely on someone to drive me. I felt trapped at the time, and I noticed how it really affected my access to opportunities for leadership, for jobs, for networking. As I studied urban planning more, I started noticing that access to facilities for sustainable transportation were more common in the wider downtown core of Toronto compared to the more racialized suburbs in the Greater Toronto Hamilton area. So when I saw more conversations about equity taking place in the US, I started feeling validated, but wondering why we weren't having similar conversations in the Canadian context. So I started networking and getting to know other city builders and collaborating with others to create spaces to have these conversations on transportation equity through a more intersectional lens. And it's been quite the journey. I've met such amazing city builders along the way, such amazing people doing work on the ground. And I'd really like to acknowledge that there's people, there's community organizers, residents, every day working towards making it more, creating more options for sustainable transportation and helping more voices to be heard. I'm very honored. I'm very lucky to have such a supportive network. I've had many people who have believed in me, who have encouraged me, and who have mentored me along the way. So I would like to give a special thank you to people such as Jay Pitter, Erica Duque, Alicia Young, Sabat Ismail, Husna Rage, Darnell Harris, Katie Whitman, Laura Seglin, Jackie Kennedy, Kate Berry, Marjorie Brands, Vince Schutt, and John Grieve for believing in me, for teaching me so much, and for helping me build my leadership. And today, as I accept this award, I'd really just like to use this as an opportunity to celebrate the people who helped me get here, as well as the people who are doing the work on the ground to this day. So let's celebrate together, and let's thrive together. Thank you.
Hi, my name is Tamika Butler, and I want to thank APBP for honoring me by naming me this year's 2020 Private Sector Professional of the Year. I couldn't be more excited to win this award. Maybe I don't look excited because I'm just sitting in my living room, but there is so much happening in the world. As I sit here on stolen Tongva land, and I think about the pandemic ravaging our country, as I think about the parents trying to figure out how they're going to educate their kids while also putting in the hours they need to provide for their families, I am also completely devastated by the continued killing of Black people. I know that this is something that has really been a struggle for some of us who focus on transportation, especially active transportation. Those of us in the private sector might be wondering, is what we're doing enough? How is it helping? How is it saving Black lives? I know I have struggled with that myself. There was a time where I was on a team with a bunch of consultants figuring out a project, and we were talking about how we wanted to engage the community. And someone said something that was tokenization. And I asked myself, what should I do? I decided to speak up. I didn't know how it was going to impact me. I didn't know how it was going to impact my career. I didn't know how it was going to impact my relationship with the other consultants. But I knew how it was going to impact the community. I knew it would be better. I knew it would center them. And so I said something. Half of the consultants on the team, well, we had uncomfortable conversations. We struggled through it. We figured it out. We're stronger than ever as friends and colleagues, and we know that the project is better. The other half of the consultants, they were offended. Their white fragility flared. Things were said and done to me that made me oh so aware of what it is to be a Black woman in this profession when there are so few of us. I have been called angry. I have been told that I'm not a good consultant, that I don't know how to follow the Consultant 101 playbook. I have been questioned. What's my experience? I don't even have a planning degree. But what I do have is my integrity, and I have an ability to think clearly about who we should be centering in our work. When you look around the table and you don't see people who look like me, you don't see folks with disabilities, you don't see Indigenous folks, you don't see older adults, you don't see queer people, trans people, you don't know how you will reach people who don't speak English. If you're having those questions, you have to figure out why your table looks the way it does. And for those of us who look around the table and we realize we're the only one, I know how lonely this career can feel. I know that there are times where it seems like you just aren't doing enough, and that whatever you say could be your last day on the job, the last day on the project, and the last time someone respects you. But know that you are important. Know that this profession needs you. It is hard to find moments of joy these last few months, but I have found them. Part of that has been knowing that we have to move forward with dignity. We have to move forward with atonement. And we have to move forward knowing that this is just not a moment in history. This is a movement. And you're either part of it or you are not, but our work is important. Whether you are planning a project, engineering a bike lane, you have to know that built environment, how people move, how people get around, how they get to where they want to go, is another form of policing bodies. And we have to figure out how we can be part of the problem, part of the solution, not a part of the problem. Too often part of the problem. What I hope we all take away is when I'm being recognized by my peers in an organization with so many people I respect and admire, is that doing the right thing is right. It's not always easy, but it is right. I want to thank everyone who has supported me when some people told me I couldn't make it. You know who you are, you believed in me. I want to especially thank Naomi Iwasaki, who nominated me for this award and has always held me up. I want to thank my colleagues in the Tool Design Los Angeles office who have always had my back and always supported me. I want to thank my other colleagues at Tool who were fantastic to work with. And more than anyone, I want to thank my wife and my son. My son is a Black boy, and I want a world where he can run, where he can walk, and he can come home to me. My wife has been there when I've cried, when I said I couldn't make it, when I talked about what people have said to me and done to me. And she always believed in me. She always told me I was important for this work and that this work was important. She always believed in my ability to make a difference. And so to you, planners of color, who feel like you don't belong, you do. We need you. Your work is important.
Let's put our living stereo stylus in this groove.
I'm so honored to receive this award from the organization whose members I consider to be the primary audience for my research. When I made the decision many years ago to go back to school and get a PhD and become a professor, I did it for two main reasons. First, I wanted to teach people who were going to become planners, a profession that I love. And second, I wanted to do the research that would provide evidence for practitioners like myself at the time and policymakers to reduce auto dependence. This award just exemplifies that I made the right decision. I want to thank some of the wonderful people who collaborated with me on that research over the years, including Chris Monsieur, Nathan McNeil, and Joe Broach, in addition to my current and former students who have challenged and inspired me along the way. I also want to thank Hal Hagedorn, who's been by my side helping to direct and lead TREC and IBPI for the past decade, in addition to the entire TREC team. A big shout out too to the institutions and organizations that have funded the research, without which it would not be possible to do. Being at an institution like Portland State University, whose motto is "Let knowledge serve the city," and being in a city like Portland, Oregon, with so many innovative features that I can do research on, has been key to my work. And I hope you've enjoyed seeing a little bit of that in this video. One of the greatest joys I get is when I'm at a conference and I meet a professional, perhaps one of you, or I get an email and that person says to me, "I used your research in my work." That's why I do what I do and why this award is so meaningful. I'm looking forward to continuing to work to make cities more equitable and sustainable. And I'm looking forward to you coming along on the ride. Thanks.